Life has many changes in it. Some are expected, some are unexpected. Some are momentous, like getting married, graduating from college, having my 2 sons. But this story I want to share is about that one moment that I can look back on that truly changed everything. I was born in Southern California, and by the time I was in 9th grade, I'd attended 11 elementary schools, 2 junior high schools, 1 foster orphanage, and a divorced mother who was trying to figure out life the best she could and keep me safe. Luckily, by that time, things had settled down. My mother had remarried. I loved my new stepfather. He was 6 years younger than my mother, and he was only 15 years older than me. So he was like having a really cool older brother, so as an only child, I savored that. He was especially very good about calming down my very strict mother. Like, I was leaving for school one day, and she was having a fit about my makeup and my clothes, my skirt too tight. And he says, "Oh, come on." Her eyes looked like 2 burnt holes in a mattress. Her skirt looks like it's been tattooed, but it's the style. Go on, let her go. Well, 30 minutes later, "Dad, I'm in the principal's office. I need a change of clothes." It seems that when I stepped out of the bus and stepped up on the curb, every seam in that skirt ripped all the way to my waistline. So my stepdad delivered the clothes and ended it with a big hug. No lectures, no "I told you so." Lesson learned, Dad. Now, my girlfriend Nancy and I, we were so excited. It was 9th grade, junior high school was almost over, and we were going to go to Venice High School in West Los Angeles. Now, this just isn't any high school. This high school was so iconic, the movie Grease was filmed there. It was so typical high school 60s. It had been built in 1911. It had an Art Deco facade. I pictured these huge corridors with banks of lockers on each side, ready for me to bump into some cute guy and hope he noticed me and asked me for that first date. Then my mother announced that we're moving this summer. You're going to be going to the San Fernando Valley. And I was going to be going to Granada Hills High School. Instead of a school steeped in tradition, I was going to this new school that had only been open a couple of years, built hastily with the expanding population that was escaping from inner LA and moving into the sprawling suburbs. I was devastated. Life was never going to be the same. It was actually like a foreign country there. I mean, Venice High School was only 27 miles from Granada Hills High School. But even calling my girlfriend Nancy was a long-distance phone call. And then the clothes. Instead of those, really cool, tight skirts and those tough collars you pulled up and let your dangled earrings go around and look tough, no, everything was pastel and poofy. And the language. You ever heard of Val speak? I mean, instead of like cool, man, it was like totally, totally, like for sure, and it's bitchin'. I just couldn't communicate. Well, the year went by, and I did make friends, and I did adjust. I became a cheerleader. I loved to dance, so I was always there at the high school dance on Friday night after the football games. There was a big teen center in this LA County area, and all the high schools gathered there every Friday night. And one of these nights, a cute, short boy asked me to dance. Well, I'm petite, and I do like to dance with cute, short boys. But these guys, these short guys, they get this attitude. They see the top of my head, and they become Napoleon. They think they can conquer me. Well, I knew for sure I was never going to date a short guy. But this guy was different. He had some great moves. He was a gymnast. He had a security about him, a confidence, a presence. So we kept dancing, and then he offered to take me home, drive me home. So he let me off at my doorstep, and he started to reach his hand out to say thank you, good night. Now, I knew I did not want to let this guy get away. I'd never gone out on a date, and I'd never kissed a boy before, but he was a senior, and I had to make him know that I wanted to make sure he called me back. So instead of taking his hand, I took his neck. I wrapped my arms around him, and I gave him the biggest, smoochiest French kiss. He was so discombobulated, he stumbled to his car, and he completely forgot to ask me for my phone number. While he was looking it up in the white pages, this was before computers, Facebook, smartphones, and he couldn't find my last name matching with that address where he dropped me off. Then he realized, oh, that's right, her dad, different last name. Well, in California, there was a law that all vehicles required a registration visible on the outside of the steering column underneath the driver's side of the seat. So this guy devised this plan where his buddy, who had a truck and a paper route, would sneak over to my house in the wee hours of the morning, park the truck a couple of doors down and keep the motor running, and he decided to break into the side door of the garage and stumble into the garage in the darkness, sneak underneath inside the car, and fumble around to find that valued registration, just about the time that my stepfather was coming out the front door to go to work. And then starting to lift the garage door, this was before garage door openers, lifting the garage door, suddenly he sees this boy jump out from inside the car and zip right past him. He would have grabbed him, but he was busy holding up the garage door. So he watches him jump into the truck, and it speeds off into nowhere. He looked around the garage. Nothing seemed to be out of place. The car didn't look like it'd been hot-wired. So he decided he wouldn't call the police. Well, that's a very good thing, because that boy did get my number. He did call me, and we were married 3 years later. Now, we were married for 47 years. And like life, things change. He passed away 4 years ago. But I like to think back that at that moment, I was so glad that I didn't go to Venice High School and that I seized that moment with a kiss, and everything changed.